You want to talk about your background
before
first?
Christ, I never experienced that life. I was raised up knowing Jesus. I was raised up knowing God. I did get baptized in 1993, so like 31 years ago. But I was trying to be baptized since I couldn't pronounce it. Like, I want to be baptized. And they're like, maybe you're not ready yet.
And I was complete opposite from that. I was sprinkled when I was born, and we didn't go to church. I mean, I didn't know anything about God really. I think we went to maybe a couple Easters, Christmases, stuff like that, but we never really went to church. So when I met her, it was whoa, because she was church, God, everything, and I was scared because I was like, oh, she's one of them weird, I just didn't know. I didn't really know.
And really, when we met, it was like in a part of my life where I was just coming out of hell. I had been married and divorced, was a single mom, and I lived with a lot of shame because I wasn't like that perfect Christian anymore. My parents were married their whole life, and that's how I expected that my life was going to be. And so I just experienced a lot of shame, and shame separates you from God. And so I literally went through like 10 years of hell, pretty much. Just living off the beaten path. And so he kind of met me, and I was like, we have to get this together. So that's going to involve God. And my mom would always be like, well, if you want me to babysit the kids while you go on a date, you have to go to church. So we literally dated at church.
And the church that we went to the first time, I haven't been to church, so the first church I went to was very, very different than anything I've ever been to before. So it was scary to me. It was very overwhelming, and I didn't take to it. I was intimidated by it, and so I kind of didn't really turn the switch on. Wasn't really all in. And then she was patient, and we found a place that I felt comfortable, but it was definitely not where she had come from. And it was...
No, I was raised extremely conservative. Yeah. And so where he was feeling the connection was more like a rock concert. And I was like,
yes.
And we're going to go to hell.
But she did it because I had a connection there, and she was willing to sacrifice for me to go and experience God. And I did. And I was baptized in 2009. And we did a series of small groups, and we got involved in the church, and I experienced the love and the fellowship and got to see what it was like. I'd never experienced that before. And it was good. It was a big church, so we didn't have the connections. I liked it because you could almost disappear in it because it was so big.
When we moved to Jefferson, we eventually found out about Galilee, and the Hoax across the street actually started taking our kids here before we even visited.
And a preacher showed up at our door with cookies one day.
Right, we're here for the cookies.
Galilee Church, and we need to come visit. And of course, I was reluctant at first. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't really know. The church I was used to didn't even have pews. It was just different. So this was different. I was a little, I don't know. I didn't really want to try it. And we did.
Like getting involved in Sunday school, and he was hooked.
Yes, I did love Sunday school.
That's what he had been missing all these years. And I'd been missing too. But Galilee was a place where I kind of started getting closer to God and getting rid of my shame. It gave me, it helped me understand grace and that I'm still loved.
And it was the family feeling, the fellowship, the acceptance that we felt truly involved just felt loved. Our kids, the children's program here, I remember the first day we showed up, we felt comfortable with where our kids were going to go. They treated us like we belonged here, and we never met these people in our life. And to me, that was really important, and that was a part I think I was missing before. I loved the worship, I loved the feeling I got, but I was missing the small group, the fellowship. You go to church with your neighbor, the kind of people you go to church with that if you're sick, they come to your house, the people that come to your house and pray for you. You know, that is what we were missing before that we found here.
I mean, even Nick and Abby came to our house to pray over him when he got an infection in his leg.
Yes, and that was early on.
That's
still,
the kind of church we're at.
Yeah, and it was wild to have, I don't know, it was kind of weird to me at first, but that's something I never had before in my life, you know, and I got it here. So we love it here.
Yeah.
It's been good to our family. I feel like this church has helped raise our children. It's helped me mature a little bit.
So our goals, the biggest thing for us is, especially as we've aged out our children, and now we even have our second grandchild on the way, and we've done all the things like teenage pregnancy, young married children, kids going off to other states for college, and now we have a son going off into the Marines. We kind of took a step back and we're like, have we prepared them? You know, people were asking, do they know how to do laundry? Do they know how to cook? And we're like, no, do they love Jesus enough? When they find themselves in the depths of despair, do they know to call on God? And we just...
Yeah, that's something we had to change up our plan, because a lot of people are worried about that. Are your kids ready to go into the world? Are they ready to... Yeah, they can cook their own macaroni and cheese, but if they don't love God, then they're alone. They don't have any relationship. They're alone. They don't know how to handle the world. And I feel like we shifted gears a little bit, and you know, with our older ones, when they started going out, we got scared a bit, like, are we doing it the right way? Are we making the right decisions? And
we just wanted to make sure they were completely engaged, and so
that became our ultimate goal, is raising good humans, obviously, but humans that love God and humans that know what it's like to be loved by God. And our goal is to have our kids ultimately just love God. You know, our grandkids love God.
And how can they spread the good news? How can we spread the good news? What are we doing to make sure that we're not alone in heaven?
And to make sure they find a home. You know, if anything, our kids have seen the last 10 years we've been coming here, what it means to have friends that are like-minded, think the same way,
but not perfect.
Yeah, not perfect, because we are not perfect. Well, I mean, I think when our older kids, you know, when you get ready to turn them over to the world and they get ready to go out in the world, sometimes I think as parents you hold yourself accountable for every single action they do, and you feel like everything that they do you're directly responsible for, and you almost feel like you fall short. And I personally think that when we sent them out, we wanted them to be perfect, because I felt like we did everything we could to make sure they were in the church, to make sure they experienced the love of God. We did everything, and then when they go out and they make certain mistakes, you almost wonder if you did it wrong or you did things the wrong way. And I think that's probably when we pulled back a little bit and tried to regroup.
And I think I didn't necessarily want my kids to be perfect, or I didn't expect them to be perfect. But I think when they were walking through trials, or we were walking through trials with them, I just kind of felt like they felt alone and not connected. I think the pandemic really kind of amplified that, so it made a lot of people feel alone. And so when there was that separation and we were having to do church in the parking lot or whatever, and then when we reconnected, they kind of felt like they didn't have any friends. And I tried to explain to them, like, it's not just you, like, this happened to the whole world. Everyone feels alone. Everyone feels 6 feet apart.
But we couldn't help but hurt with them, you know what I mean?
So they we took some time to do church at home. We even did church with family because at least there they did feel connected, but it still wasn't their friends. So that was really hard for them, and trying to get re-engaged. And then our kids kind of went through a phase where they thought like Christians and church is only for the perfect people. And it's crazy to us because we've told them their whole lives like we're not perfect. And we have walked through so many roller coasters of life with our faith and our what
when you see your kids
classify as good.
Right. But when you see your kids hurt like that, I mean, you'll know you make rash decisions sometimes because you don't know what to do. You just want to do what's best to get them back on track. And
so all I can say is the best thing that we did is just get out of your comfort zone, and it helps people to get re-engaged. So we got out of our comfort zone, tried to get re-engaged, reconnect a different way.
And that's what we did. We reconnected a different way. And we fell in love, and we realized all the things that we had that we took advantage of. You don't even really realize it till it's gone, almost like
we got so comfortable here that we almost became lukewarm, right? And we had to get on fire again.
Because it's easy to feel like you're doing everything right. I'm good, I'm doing everything right. And I've realized that when you think you're doing everything right, the devil is on you. Too comfortable.
Right, and so we weren't necessarily in a space where it was growing our faith.
Right. So we came back and we have a different model now, and it's been great so far. Church is hard sometimes when you have big gaps like that, because with Sunday school classes, we could fit into 2 different Sunday school classes. We call it the old class, which now we're in, and you have the young class, and that was a little bit of a challenge. In the same
breath, it gives us a different advantage, because we've been able to meet so many people because of that.
Well, yeah, and we love to share, and it's great when I can talk to a young person who has kids that are, let's say young person, somebody that has kids that are like 10, 11 years old. I'm going through that same phase of life, but we also have grandbabies. We've experienced so many things, and that's why.
And our maturity allows us to hang out with the young 20s.
I know when I first started coming here, I remember when people were finding out who we were, part of me was ashamed of my past. I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want anybody to know that we were married before. I didn't want anybody to know about. I was just ashamed, and I've learned over the years that is something we can give a lot of people. That is something that's awesome for us to have, because I can relate to people. I can share, and if you want people to love Christ, you have to be able to share. And people tend to believe you more.
God uses those things in our life to be able to reach people and to say, "Hey, you get grace too," because
right. Because sometimes people look at you.
We should not be on the top of the list.
I mean, look at you. You got it all figured out. You're all decked out. His shoes match his shirt. You got it going on. But I don't know what's going on with you, and it's good sometimes for people, I think, to know that, hey, all because you may look like you have it going on, I've been through this, and I can relate to you, and I can understand you.
Well, especially because our kids felt out of place, our oldest ones, when they were going through stuff, and they didn't know how to approach people or talk to people, because surely the people here are perfect.
Right.
Like the super Christians. My son makes fun of me sometimes, and he's like, "Well, Mom, you're like a super Christian." And I'm like, "What?"
And I say, "Well, what am I, son?" He just kind of looks big eyes. I'm like...
And yes, I do listen to Rich.
And that's why we come here. People like that.
I do listen to Christian music, and I do try to read the Bible every day, but those are the things that help keep me on track, because I'll be quick to fall off. Because if you live in shame, even if you're not actively sinning, if you don't, forgiveness is huge. You not only have to forgive others, but you have to forgive yourself, and you have to accept forgiveness from others. But if you live in shame and you live separated from God, that is your vulnerable spot where you're not going to use your gifts to help other people find Christ. Like, literally, I would recluse and just keep to myself and not engage people and not talk to people, that doesn't build the kingdom. That doesn't even build the kingdom for my kids. So I had to get out of that space.
And that's where I come in, because I'm the opposite of that. I'm more of a look at me, more of a be involved, use my talents. So we play really well off each other. We do good. We're a good team.